Gurge. In this video, we're going to change the oil on the Predator generator that I've been running this past week for the garage. We've had several power outages, probably have about 20 hours of runtime on the generator. Good idea to change the oil. If you like this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe to the Gurge. So I've got the diesel heater running, kind of warming up the work area. I'm going to run the generator for a few minutes outside to get the oil warmed up, make it flow better. Let's go outside and get it started. Alright, so I got the generator inside. It's actually been running about 20 minutes. It's pretty warm. I've also positioned it very close to the diesel heater so I can work on it in a t-shirt. What I've done is I've put it up on blocks here. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it easier to get the pan under there and maneuver around the bottom. It's kind of a tight space. So let's zoom in here and see what we're working with. Alright, so there's actually two drain plugs on this. There's a drain plug on the opposite side. This is the drain plug that we're going to take off. This is a 10mm nut, and this is the filler for the oil filler. I'm actually going to loosen that and then remove it as we get the drain plug out. Alright, so I got my oil pan in here. Unfortunately, they've got the drain plug positioned right over this cross member. I've got a piece of flashing I rigged up here, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit more. Is maybe clip off this corner a little bit to allow me to get in there a little further. Alright, I think that'll work. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Hopefully you can see that. So let's get that drain plug out and get the oil out. Now, I don't always wear gloves for this, for changing oil, but, well, actually I take it back. I always do now. I used to not, and I'd end up with my hands all dirty. You know, I'm not scared of getting my hands dirty by any means, but it is nice to just take the gloves off when you're done with the job and you're all set. And yeah, they're very thin, but they somewhat protect you. So I'm sorry my hands are in the way, but I'm just removing the drain plug here. Hopefully you can see that. And I just loosened it, and now I'm loosening it with my fingers. Yeah, so this is a Predator 3500 running watts, 4,375 max starting watts. I run it on propane. My son had installed a propane kit into it, which I really like, and I think it produces less power on propane. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the case. Now let's see if we can get this plug out without spilling oil all over the place. There we go. Good. So make sure you hang on to this. The oil looks pretty clean. Make sure you hang on to the plug and don't drop it in the oil. I'm just going to hold this here and let this drain out. And while that's happening, I'll open up the filler cap, let the air get in, and this little piece of flashing that I'm using seems to have done the job. So that's the filler cap. I'm actually going to try to tip the generator a little bit towards me. See if we can get some more oil coming out of that. Okay, a little bit more. Not sure if that's coming out on camera. But I always like to get as much out as I can. Usually that last bit's got the dirty stuff that's been floating around in there. There we go. Okay, I think we're pretty well cleaned out. We'll reinstall the drain plug. Clean off the cross beam where we lost a little bit of oil on there. Not much. Okay. And there's probably a torque specification for that, but I just get it nice and tight. Don't go too crazy with it. Now here's the trick. And hopefully you can see that. I think you can. Let me look at the screen. Yeah. So that's the oil fill plug, and it's not real accessible. So you need some kind of funnel contraption to get your oil in there. If you've tried to put oil into one of these, you know how difficult it is to get the oil into this filler hole. And here's how I do it. First of all, I tip the generator back a little bit. I've got a 2x4 under one of the feet. It's stable-ish. And then what I do is I use a funnel with a piece of flexible hose, and I cut the flexible hose so it's angled to go in like so and get it into the filler hole. Then the real key is to go slow. So I don't know if you can see this. Actually, I see that you can't. Let me reposition. Well, I'll show you what it looks like. It's going to look like that. I'm going to go slow. I'll show as the oil goes in. I'm not going to reposition the camera fully, but you'll see the oil go down the hose into the generator. Now, the generator is supposed to be level when you fill it because you want the oil level with the bottom of the filler hole. It's going to get a little bit over full, and when I pull that 2x4 out, it's going to seep some of the oil out, and that's why I've got the oil pan under there still, just in case there's any leaks while I'm filling. So I'm going to go as slow as I can. You'll see the oil going in. It goes down the filler hole and into the engine. So I'm just going slow. And this, you know, this is just, I don't know if it's a bad design or I'm doing it wrong. Please let me know in the comments. Oh, there we go. Dripped a little bit on the fill. Let me know in the comments if you know a better way to do this. So we are putting in synthetic 10W30 into this engine. That's what it calls for. It calls for 1030. There we go. And when you think you've got enough, now if you get it to the point that it's overflowing at the top, you've definitely got enough, and then you're going to tip it back, it's going to overflow some more. So I'm going to try to avoid that by just kind of estimating how much goes in here. It's just going in very slowly. But the key is to go slow and try not to pour oil all over your garage floor. So I think we're going to be close. I'm going to check it by pulling out the filler tube and then removing the 2x4, setting the generator back level. Well, we are very close. I'm just going to put a little bit more in. Let's see. Yeah, so I really didn't have to tip it backwards. But I think we're right at the filler hole there. Just put a little bit more in to check. Yeah. That's it. So you can see the generator's level right up to the bottom of the fill line. And good to go. I'm just going to put the filler cap in and this job will be done. So that wasn't real pretty, but it worked. And I didn't get oil everywhere, which is a real important feature of any oil change. Alright, so I'll get this cleaned up and then we'll wrap it up. Alright, thanks for hanging out in the garage. Appreciate it. Hope you got something from that oil change video on the generator. If there's something you feel I could have done better, I'd like to hear about it in the comments. I'm always trying to find better ways to make mundane jobs like maintenance on your generator go a little bit better. So I think I got it figured out pretty well, but again, I'm always open to hear another way. So again, thanks for hanging out. Please like the video, subscribe to The Gurge, and we'll see you back here.